Welcome to The World Today. I'm Waqas Majeed. Today we're talking about three stories that have appeared in the press. The first one has to do with the FATF team that has arrived in Pakistan to examine steps that the Pakistani government has taken against terror financing. We'll talk about that in some detail. Pakistan was placed on the grey list, and we will hopefully not be put into the blacklist after this review. Then the US has also urged Pakistan to ensure that the Taliban cut their links with their Afghan cadres. Now, that is an interesting piece of news where Mr. Votel has accepted Pakistan's sacrifices in the war against terrorism, but the same old mantra of do more continues from the US side. We'll talk about that in some detail as well. And finally, Pakistan's consulate in Jalalabad has now started functioning. It has resumed visa operations, and that issue has now been put to rest. Hopefully, there will be no more issues in Afghanistan for people seeking Pakistani visas. And finally, we'll also talk about how rape has been perpetuated as a tactic by various governments or regimes to subjugate people, and how it's about time that should be criminalized and people should take a stand against it. So we'll talk about that to some extent as well. Let me introduce my guests in the studio. Joining me for the conversation today, first of all, we have Brigadier Shahid Jahangir Saab with us, and joining him, we have Hassan Khan. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. Brigadier Saab, I'll start with you, sir. This 12-member team is now conducting an on-site inspection of the rules that they had given Pakistan to abide by, but also Pakistan had given a 10-point agenda on how we were going to work around meeting those requirements that the FATF had. So after this particular review on site, do you think that we'll be able to convince the team that Pakistan is on the right track and that we need to be removed from the grey list, sir?
Okay. I will cover this in two parts. One is the factors leading to this putting us on the grey list.
So
it has two external factors. One is the American pressure on Pakistan to, as you said, the mantra of doing more. Right. One of the tools to, twist our arm in this regard. And second was the Indian lobby, which is there in this group, which wants to divert the world attention from the atrocities which have been committed in Indian and Kashmir.
Absolutely, sir.
Which they blame that Jamaat-ul-Dawa and others are involved in it. Pakistan has done a lot to put all those people, they claim to be responsible for this, in the court of law, where no evidence has been brought against them. So these are the two external factors which are leading to this. Obviously, there are always, since we are a developing country, we are refining and fine-tuning our ways and means and procedures for the financial aspect of this. So Pakistan gave a 10-point reply to the last which they cut, in which we acknowledge that there is a room for our improvement, and we will do that. Now, in that, the government has done certain amendments in the law. That is the Federal Investigation Agency Act of 1947, then Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1947, and also Money Laundering Act of 2010, in which penalties have been increased, and anyone found involved in that, their imprisonment has been increased and all.
Right.
Other than that, the government has also scrutinized the NGOs which are working over here. I'm sure you must would have seen that there are a list of NGOs which were banned in a couple of days back.
Indeed.
Which could not satisfy about their transaction to the government of Pakistan. And more than that, the illegal money transactions is being traced by the concerned agencies. You have seen many big shots, being, in the
getting
red alert in this, also in the grey list.
Right, sir.
A ban stoppage of NGOs, as I've told, then strict rules on the counting, account opening and transactions in the banks, and also strict monitoring of the money transactions, especially at the airport also. I hope that this visit of the APG delegation, which is going to come, for which they are here now, we will show them that we have made a good progress in this regard.
Indeed.
And I think we should be able to convince them. Now, there is an opportunity also for Pakistani government in this.
So,
now, this delegation which is coming, it includes the experts from the Scotland Yard, US Treasury. We need to now convince these people that the people which have Pakistani individuals, those who are involved in the money laundering, sitting now in their respective countries, we will give them the name, you give us these people along with their holding over there, so that the due process of law should go against that. That way we will be cooperating with the international community, and also we will this will benefit our own country as well.
that would be interesting if it works like that. Hassan Khan Saab, do you have any hopes that that might actually materialize as Brigadier Saab is talking about? Also, these Brigadier Saab mentioned the US and the British Scotland Yard, but there are others like the Financial Intelligence Unit of Maldives, then there's the from China, then there's Justice Department officials from Turkey. So there is a whole host of nations that are representatives from which are part of the FATF team that are now on the ground in Pakistan. But one of the allegations that they make against Pakistan is that we're not doing enough against religious organizations, especially those banned by the UN and the US, and reining in their activities, so to speak. Where do you think progress in that realm? Have we made any?
I think the government has fortunately lately realized that we have to play according to the rules when we are dealing with the world, especially this just trying to that ostrich-like approach that we are doing the best, and this is just the few actors who are playing against us, who are trying to, what we call it, make the rest of the world believe that we are not the proper. I think this time they have given us 27 points, where I think our money transactions, especially, the risk of falling this money into the hands of terrorists or the organization which the UN or the international community believe that they may jeopardize the peace in the region or maybe in the world. So I think this time Pakistan has done a very good homework, and I believe that this time it will be get out of the grey list, and maybe we are put in the white one. And already I think previously Pakistan has it. Yes, there are political dimension, internal political dimension, but look, Waqas, this is not what you are. This is what image you have in the world. Unfortunately, our perceptions, Pakistani image abroad is very bad. And for the last 40 years, almost 30 years, the way we deal with the world, so we have created an impression outside Pakistani borders that we are a country where jihadis are getting trained. We are the country where terrorists are getting trained, whether it is vis-a-vis Afghanistan or the rest of the world. So I think that impression must be cleared now, and to clear that impression, we need to first understand the issue and our role in it. Maybe it's a historical baggage, because unfortunately during the last 2 or 3 military regime, Pakistan has earned a very bad name internationally. We played for others, definitely. We become part of the US war, we become part of the others, not our wars. But later on, when we lost almost 70,000 lives and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, our economy and the image internationally. So there should have been a time that we should have realized that now this is our war. And this is not only the war to be fought kinetically in the faraway mountains and the valleys and the forest, but it has to be fought within the international important capitals. And there we have to improve that, look, we Pakistani are now serious. Our intentions, look, there was the main, the UN was trying to, the decision was supposed to be taken to be put in the blacklist. But I think we convinced our friend internationally, and they opposed that in the UN Security Council, and we succeeded. But okay, you succeeded, but you lost the image of the whole country for that single person. And the same is now happening, whether it is NEJs, LEJs, AEJs, DEJs, MEJs, TTP, CTP. I think we should not fall into it. Pakistan stands first. And now this time, I think, so the previous government also, they have done a lot of homework, the Pakistan Muslim League government. And I think this government continue building on what bricks they have laid down. And now the reports which I have been through, especially prior to the arrival of this FATF delegation, I am pretty convinced that this time they will be convinced that our transaction, the money transactions happening via Pakistan is secure and it's not going to fall in the bad hands. Two, I think we should also take it for the sake of our country. Look, Pakistan almost, I think, more than 50% still our transactions are done via hawalas or the non-banking.
Or the parallel economy.
The parallel economy. So I think that is also, we need to realize that we are not doing it for the US, for the Indian, for the Israeli, for the Afghans, or for the others. We are doing it for our own self. I think the day we realize that it is not something getting emotional with it. This is not an individual issue that where your honor is involved, where your dishonor is involved. I think it's a matter concerning the country, concerning the 200 million people. So on that day, we'll get out of this world of accusation that it is due to that person A or B or C that we are getting targeted. I think better we look into inward, that whether look into the mirror, are there any black spots on our face or not? I believe as a Pakistani, I think we have a lot of black spots looking from the international perspective to world. And this is the time that we need to clear those black spots. And I think we should recognize it as doing something for the country, not doing it as a something in a state of reaction and a state of emotion that we are caught down now, so we have to do it. So I believe that this time Pakistan political government is quite serious, and the previous one and now this one. So I hope it will the dust will clear and we may be.
Sir, I'm very glad that you raised the issue of the undocumented economy aspect in Pakistan. And sir, we are always striving and struggling to increase our tax base, and a large number of people in the country do not file their taxes and so on and so forth. So do you see an opportunity also arising for the restructuring of the entire financial structure of the country as a process of what we're doing for the FATF? For example, it can be a double-edged sword for some people when the proposed changes that we are seeing, sir, also have changes such as allowing FIA and other law enforcement agencies direct access to a person's bank accounts. So do you think that that is overstepping the line somewhere, or do you think that these are necessary steps that need to be taken? And maybe it will also help in documenting the large undocumented or parallel economy that we are struggling with.
Look, the biggest problem with the developing countries are that their economy is not as documented as the modern countries are. Now, we are taking the step now, as I told you, that we are revisiting our law. We are making FIA more, powerful. Let's be very clear and honest about it. If you have a clean and white money, you don't have to, bow your head to anyone if somebody asks you a question, that from where you earn, where you are spending, and whom you are sending to any part of the world. But if there is a grey thing or a black thing, then there is a need to address that. One is that. The second thing which you were talking about is the documenting of the economy. In this, I'm not expert of the economy, but I would only say that private limited companies and limited companies are registered with the Exchange Commission of Pakistan and all. But other than that, they are not registered. They neither file any document, nor they show any, nobody is there to go for their audit and all. So that is one area which needs to be addressed. And then obviously when there are going to be, if you have a white money, what if the FIA see my account?
Indeed, sir. You have nothing to hide. You have nothing to
to
fear.
hide. Yeah. If I'm a billionaire or trillionaire, if my accounts are absolutely straight, why should I be afraid of that?
Absolutely, sir. No reason.
So there is a requirement that this government must keep on doing that. As I said, that there are now grey and black clouds on some of the big shots in our country. Let's set the examples.
Indeed, sir. It's
Till
high
the time you don't set the examples, people will not get on the line.
Indeed.
You can only, a nation can be corrected only through the moral ways or through the rules and laws. Why don't the people do the same thing in Switzerland or in England or in America where they put their money? Why don't they do that? Because they know if they are caught over here, they will be going for a big jump.
Indeed, sir.
But here in Pakistan, anyone who is beyond an upper limit,
You can get away with murder.
anything. Yeah.
You can get away with murder,
Yeah.
as we've seen.
There's the important thing is your judicial system. I think judicial systems sometimes, I personally as a Pakistani feel that it sometimes works on whims and personal whims and not according to the law, not according to the books.
Implementation of the law is
And
basically
especially
a major
implementation
issue,
of
sir.
I think it should be across the board. Look, the current, some political leaders are under, I think, but it must be clear, not that in the past we saw that there were accusations of containers loaded with gold and certain political leaders were arrested on the basis of that. Then there were no containers of gold, then there were no billions of dollars of money being transported abroad in the containers. I think we should be clear. We should not, I think, befool the world and our own people. And it should be across the board. Whether a person is powerful, whether a person belongs to certain institutions, he's served in certain institutions or not. If he is a citizen of Pakistan, he should be treated as equal in the eyes of the law. Unfortunately, so far, we fail to do that. And this is the reason that the world do not trust our judicial system. They do not trust our words because time and again, now we are, I believe as per this Afghanistan issue is concerned, as per this FATF is concerned, the financial transaction, that is concerned, the taking action to stop illegal flow of money is concerned. We have taken a lot of steps. But unfortunately, we have spoken so many times of taking certain actions and then we backed out of it, we just covered it. So now the world is very much, I think they are very much apprehensive that yes, you have taken the certain steps, but still we are wary that we want to confirm it.
And that seems to be a constant refrain that we have to face across the board, whether it's FATF or whether it's dealing with the American accusation of doing more and reigning
doing
in.
more, especially with the militant world.
So same issues. But one last question regarding this subject is the technical compliance through various legislative, administrative and regulatory instruments. They also preclude certain problems that we have to face because Pakistan doesn't enjoy extradition treaties with a lot of countries, like you were talking about, sir, earlier, on getting those criminals who have taken large amounts of money out of the country and are sitting abroad. How will they be brought back? That is going to be a crucial question. Do you think that the FATF and those countries will cooperate with Pakistan when it comes to nabbing those individuals who are guilty of these crimes?
Yeah, that's what the challenge is. That's what the challenge is. And this, as I told you, that APG group which is coming, it has the representative from very big countries. And other than that, in Financial Action Task Force group, which is there in Paris, all leading and modern countries of the world are there. So not only that we have to convince these guys, those who are here in Pakistan now, that look, this is the problem we have. We have to, at the diplomatic level, we have to recharge our embassies over there, that they take up the case, and our foreign minister and our finance minister, whenever they go abroad, they must talk to these the head of the states, that you want us to be very state impartial and upright. Now cooperate with us.
Indeed.
That is why this Financial Action Task Force has been created. So now you cooperate with us, help us to get these people so that we can look.
But would you see that help forthcoming, sir? Because let's say a country like Switzerland would say, we're not really going to be able to help you in nabbing somebody who has a huge
that's
Swiss
the
account.
bottleneck. That's the
issue,
bottleneck
sir.
in the thing.
Right, sir.
Because the money lying over there is being used for the purpose which they want, and they're not disclosing it. But that's the whole ball game of the thing. Now, but it is important for us till the time we will not nab the person who has taken the money out and see that how the money trail has been created. It starts from the operation manager of the bank and goes up to the bank abroad. That is how the thing moves. From the what you call is halwada or whatever they call it, that individual knows exactly that who is the one. Either it is you, me, or Hassan Saab, who has gone and contacted him and given him the money, and he has a particular chain which he follows.
Hawala and Hundi system.
For sending the money abroad. So it is important that the government should pressurize, discuss this, and try to convince them that give us these individuals that will help us to investigate flaws that we have, as Hassan Saab has said, that the flaws that we have in the system, so that we can put the system right by investigating them through all lengths.
Let's hope that the help that we require is forthcoming, sir.
That issue has nothing to do with the FATF. FATF is an international body looking after the transparent transaction of dirty money, especially going into the hands of
terror financing.
Terror financing.
It's not only it also covers the money laundering also.
The money
laundering factor.
It's the entire
a big problem for our country.
The dark side of the monetary business, we would say.
It's the biggest problem. If we have 52% of the thing which moves through the money. And right. Alhamdulillah, I can say that we have no. Nobody can raise a finger on us that we are financing the terrorism. As I said, it's a means of twisting our arm by India and others that we are. If you have, come and give us.
Indeed, sir. And let's talk about that as well, sir, because we're moving on to our second topic, which is the US, again, urging Pakistan to cut the links between the Afghan so-called leaders and their cadres. How is Pakistan supposed to do that? Hassan Saab, I'll bring this question first to you. De-link Pakistan-based Taliban leaders from their cadres in Afghanistan and force them to participate in peace talks.
I think already Pakistan has done that. I think months, or if not years ago, at least months ago, Pakistan has almost tried when it stops the Taliban leader using the medical facilities in Pakistan. When it stopped those leaders coming and having stay with their families and then going back, they have been given a clear instructions that whether if you come to Pakistan, you have not to use the Pakistan and then go back there. I think most of the Taliban leadership, the fact is, as I knew, most of the Taliban leadership have shifted their residences, even their homes, from Pakistan to Iran. Now currently most of them are stationed and are residing there. Already 39% or 45% of the Afghanistan is in the hands of insurgents. Almost only less than 50% is within the government control. Ghazni is again going to, unfortunately, it is under threat of Taliban. Already a month or two in July, it falls into the hands of Taliban and they keep it for 5 days. Helmand is under pressure, Farah, Kunduz, etc. These are the areas where Taliban are trying to take the major cities. With the provincial headquarters, the district headquarters are all mostly in their hands. So I think US need to understand, or either we need to realize them that, look, for how long you will justify your failure inside Afghanistan, or either your failure or either the failure of the Afghan regime inside Afghanistan, and just passing the bucks across the Pakistani border. Already I think now this is the time, Waqas, that Pakistan need to be very much what we call it at the front foot.
And vociferous.
Yeah, vociferous to tell the US that, look, yes, Shah Mahmood Qureshi has rightly pointed it out in the US that, look, wherever you want, that here is the Taliban leader, Afghan Taliban leader, or here is the area where they are crossing the border and coming to Afghanistan, just we will take you there and we will take action right at that time. And I think this Pakistan-Afghanistan Action Plan for Peace and Security, APPS.
Yes, sir.
So I think under that umbrella or that project, a lot of there is this stationing of liaison officer, one Afghan senior military officer sitting in the general headquarters of Rawalpindi, Pakistani officer sitting there in Kabul to share actionable on-time intelligence. So wherever, and I think Pakistan has pretty assured the Afghan government. But unfortunately, the problem is that they can't sell their failure or they can't convince their people that, look, we failed in Afghanistan to bring peace in Afghanistan. We failed in that. The reason is the Afghan government is corrupt, the Afghan government is inefficient, etc. The institutions are not working properly. The easiest thing for them is, this is Pakistan which is still sending the terrorists to Afghanistan. This is Pakistan which is still keeping them alive. This is Pakistan providing the medical facilities, the training facilities. I think no more. Even our other important capitals, the US, I think they are convinced that Pakistan has taken action. But now the big problem is for us. Now Zalmi Khalilzad is, I think, in the town.
Yes,
Or he will be tomorrow in the town. So he will be also there. And I hope he will not be going to give the same lecture.
Now, here's the problem, sir, because we've been talking about this for quite some time now. The CENTCOM chief says that fighters must not be allowed to move into Pakistan to get aid. He says that they need to ensure, the Pakistanis need to ensure, they need to use their influence, that there can be
This
no
is a very strange thing that we have to
that there
put
can
them on
be
the
no
table,
cross-border movement back and forth, and the fighters can't come back into Pakistan to get medical care or other things with that. The Pakistanis also need to use their influence with the Taliban to force the Taliban leadership to come to the table.
Sit on the table, yes.
And though Pakistan may not have enough influence on the Taliban, General Votel said that they can do this and they can put pressure on them to do this. Now, this is the perception that the general has regarding the influence that Pakistan has on the Taliban, and also the fact that we have this constant cross-border movement of terrorists across the border. Pakistan has been trying to fence the border, sir, with much, protesting from the Afghans and the Americans. They say, please don't fence the border. But at the same time, they don't want people to cross the border. And they cut down our aid. They try to make it difficult for us to solve this issue on the western border vis-a-vis the Afghan Taliban. I fail to understand what exactly are they trying to achieve, because on the one hand, their practical actions are causing misery and suffering and also causing problems for Pakistan to achieve the stated goal. Whereas in rhetoric, we hear that we can do more, and that's all we need to hear. Can you please, sir, decipher and figure this out, that what exactly do they want?
As Hassan Saab has very rightly pointed out, that they are blaming their failures on us. Afghanistan has a history which unfortunately the Americans have failed to understand and are not acting to according. Afghanistan has been never ruled by an outsider. That is the history of Afghans. The second thing is saying the words to this effect, as you have said, that make absolutely sure that no directions, instructions, other things are coming to Afghan leadership from Pakistan. You are a country which is having the most advanced cyber command in the world. You can monitor any pin moving around in the world at any time. And our foreign minister has rightly said that you point out that where are these, how this communication is made, from where we go, anything happen in Pakistan, our chief of army staff goes and give them that this is the transaction which has taken place, this is the location.
Actionable intelligence, sir.
Actionable intelligence are given to them, and still there is no action on that. It was very hard for us to take on Fazlullah.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah. So one is that. The second is asking such type of demands requires to have a very close alliance between two countries. Now, for the close alliance, you need to have a very close relationship. You have to understand each another's
limitations,
interest, the national interest of each other.
Absolutely.
On the one side, as we were discussing off the record, you are giving Indians S-400 missiles. You are giving Indian access of Iranian oil, and you expect us to cooperate. Now, you have to see our national interest in mind.
Absolutely.
We are not a banana state anymore, and we have never been in a banana state. So if you want us to cooperate, yes, we can exercise our influence, whatever small we have on Taliban, to come to the negotiating table, but that requires a price for that. Now, just by saying that do more, it is not possible. You have to see our requirement as Americans have their own national interest, Pakistan has its own national interest.
And that needs to be respected.
We cannot sell off, we can't sell ourselves off freely. We are an independent state, a very important country in the Southeast Asia, which has a great potentials for the betterment. And most important, the thing is that betterment of the Afghanistan, both economically, physically, developmentally, is the benefit of Pakistan, because
Absolutely.
everything moves to Afghanistan from Pakistan. So why should not we be interested in making Afghanistan a terrorist-free, a peaceful, developed nation? Who doesn't want a very civilized person across his neighbor?
Absolutely, sir. And taking a cue from that, as you mentioned earlier as well, the foreign minister, Mr. Qureshi, said all those things to his American audience when he was visiting the US, and he said that we'll take you anywhere you want to go, and Pakistan is free for you to come and see. We'll take you and show you what's happening on the ground. To that, General Votel said that there's no doubt that we've acknowledged that Pakistan has made great sacrifices and conducted operations in the country and so on and so forth, but we still assess that there are Taliban presence in Pakistan, and we need Pakistanis to continue to push them out. Again, it's the same do more mantra. We need them to continue to stay engaged, and we need them to help lower violence in Afghanistan. Now, how is Pakistan supposed to help lower violence in Afghanistan? That doesn't make any sense, sir. I mean, if more than half the country is under Afghan Taliban, how is Pakistan supposed to go inside the country and lower the level of violence? What are they talking about?
You might have heard that story of lamb drinking water from a stream, and end of the time, I think, said that it was your father or your grandfather who committed that crime. So when jurm zaifi ki saza mar ge mafaja, this is famously said that. Look, I think the US, as Brigadier Saab has pointed out, that you have control over the space, Afghan space. You have, I think, hundreds of what you call it, this drones and etc., surveillance drone. So have you ever provided pecs to the Pakistani side that, look, this is the area from where the Taliban entered and now they attack this position? Mostly for the last 7-8 months, we are hearing that it is the Pakistani security guards or border posts are being attacked from Afghan side, whether it was in Bajawal, whether it was in Kuram, whether it was in Tira, etc. So it is, unfortunately, as I said, we being playing as a weak act, the problem here is that instead of we accusing them that, look, Afghan soil is being used against Pakistan, and we have these proofs that in Kuram, people attack, bad, dirty boys attack from your side and killed, martyred our soldiers. This is in Bajawar, this is in Maman, and this is in Khyber. But now they have an upper hand, the way, because at the moment they are calling the shot. Unfortunately, being Pakistan, yes, we are a nuclear country, but unfortunately we are not that strong to stand up and say that we can't follow
enough is enough.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Why don't you
I think
more?
we are not in that position, honestly speaking. In Afghanistan, the US and the international forces, when they were having 130,000 numbers with a license to kill, with the most modern war machinery, they failed to control. They failed to reduce the violence. Currently, there are almost 400,000 Afghan national security forces, including the police and the other. 400,000, and then they have a few thousand, 13,000 or 15,000, the NATO and the ISAF and the American forces are there. So if you have 400,000 troops on ground, and you have all the resources, you have the money, you have the plan, you have the tank, you have the cannon, everything you have. How can Pakistani sitting in Islamabad not allowed to cross the borders? Pakistani planes are not allowed to cross the border. Pakistani gunships are not allowed to cross the border. Pakistani drones are not allowed to cross the border. So I think this is just, okay, you have done it, we have done it, but still we want you to do more. And this is very ridiculous that Pakistan is supposed to lower down the violence in Afghanistan. 1, 2. We understand that their influence is no more that much on Afghan Taliban. This is what the hotel says. But despite that, we still believe that Pakistan can do it. So I think this is the utter
frustration.
I would like to add what Hassan Saab had said.
Please, sir.
He's absolutely right when he says that we are manning the border. We are manning the more border posts as compared to the Afghans.
Absolutely.
We have fenced the borders. We have the checks on our declared borders. We carry out the patrolling and search operation all around. And if they still feel that we are doing less, but see on the other side, they don't have the post border to man the border, even 1/3 of what we have.
They're doing nothing, absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. And then
1/10 less than that. I think we have hundreds of posts and they have only
that's
few
what I say, not
dozen.
even 1/3 what we have, more than that. So that is what it is, that the facts on the ground are totally very different. They just want that a cooked solution of American recipe.
They want us to go and solve their mess.
That Pakistan should cook that recipe.
That is not going to happen.
Pakistan should cook that recipe and take it to the American Senate and tell them that this is made by the Americans.
And you might have read that survey. I think this is Pew survey, which says that more and more Americans are now feeling that the American are failed in Afghanistan, and this is largely after a few years they are doing it. So the current survey says that it is almost, I think this is across the 60, that who believe that this is a bad war for the US and they failed to bring peace in Afghanistan. So I think to divert this internal political pressures or this internal feelings of the people, the easiest for him is
convenient scapegoat.
Accused Pakistan, that this is Pakistan which is sending the bed boys, which is Pakistan which is providing them the safe haven, the training, the money, the medical facilities.
But on a positive note, because we talked about this story in the beginning, we must mention it. In Jalalabad, the Pakistani embassy was closed down because of some issues, but that has now finally reopened. So a silver lining among the
no doubt.
among the dark
been,
clouds. So we should appreciate that effort, and we thank our Afghan brothers.
Because the people from Nangarhar and especially Khost and Paktik, etc., the down provinces, they were facing a lot of hardship going to Kabul. Already there was a lot of pressure on the Pakistan embassy in Kabul.
Absolutely, and we hope that the governor of Nangarhar has also calmed down and is now cooperating with our embassy people
no more demanding
in Pakistan, in Afghanistan. Sir, one last thing that I would also want to talk about is that sexual violence in conflict and in war is used as a tool, as a psychological tool to devastate nations. Do you think that this tool in this day and age should continue to be used? Do you think that sexual violence against the weaker sex should be condoned, and some measures should be taken to criminalize this, and it should be stopped? What can we do, sir? We just saw that a girl who was kept as a sex slave by ISIS has won the Nobel Prize, and she is standing up for this issue. What can we do, sir, in order to support this very important issue?
There is one law in the UN that is known as Law of Armed Conflict.
Sir.
Now, in which there are certain major offences, minor offences. First of all, that we have to bring it up to that level. Second is that unfortunately the world has moved to a point where laws are not adhered. We have gone beyond that. We now believe, the world has entered to a place where they believe in death by 1,000 cuts, not going to civilize, as our Prophet has said, that do not harm the trees, do not harm the old people, do not harm the children, and especially do not harm the women. The same was the same was in the Christianity as well.
Indeed, sir.
But unfortunately, these terrorist groups which are operating, they don't believe in any divine thing.
But it's not just that, sir, because if you look at what happened in Rohingya, little baby girls were murdered, women were gang raped. Similarly, what's happening in Kashmir, sir? Women are being raped by the Indian
practice in Kashmir.
So this is what we're talking about here. This needs to be brought into...
Because there is a difference.
Sir, please.
You are talking about the law of armed conflict. There is only for the proper defense forces or the countries or the properly trained armies who are in fight, who are in indulgent armed conflict. But here the fact is the non-state actors like the ISIS, but there is a difference between what the ISIS is doing and the difference the Indian forces are doing in Kashmir. I think we should have separated.
But the crime is
Nothing-
the same.
The crime is this. No,
And
here
the
the
impact
crime
is the same.
Here the crime is much bigger.
Much
Because
bigger.
there is a civilized,
Absolutely.
trained army, properly trained officers. They are in ISIS. They are terrorists.
Right.
So here, what the Indian army is doing, I think this should be clearly declared as
a
an
war
act
crime.
of terrorism.
And a war crime.
Yeah, as a war crime. Already is a war crime.
So
I
we-
think it's a war.
That-
but it's
he's
an act of
absolutely,
terrorism.
he,
Yeah.
I absolutely second him.
All right, sir.
When a professional army does this, it's a much more graver offense
Than just
than a
declared
single man or
terrorist.
A declared
no,
terrorist
say that-
organization. Yes.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for taking out the time and sharing your views with PTV World. Well, you heard the conversation, and as always, we say, please draw your own conclusions from what you've heard. That's all the time we have. Goodbye.